Hi everyone, here we are again today on another exciting topic. I'm Katrina, co-CEO of a human agency.
I'm Simon, I'm also co-CEO of a human agency.
There's so many questions that we hear over and over again that we thought that we'd start to share a couple of them with you. I mean, the age-old statement of not reinventing the wheel. And I know one that I've recently experienced is that question of how do I transform my workplace culture to become more values-led and help me achieve growth or whatever my aspirations are. It's just something that is very topical. So we thought that we'd share some of our recent experiences with you, get some insights from our case studies and move into some top tips that we often give our clients, but we're happy to give our friends as well.
Absolutely.
So recently, small business, very successful, not a new business, but had been around for quite a long time, came to me with that question and said, we've been successful for a very long time. We know we're hitting a bit of a lull. We need to reinvigorate the culture. How do we do it? How do we become more values-led? So classic question.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I've got a great example even from a large business, one of a big iconic Australian company, been around for a long, long time as well. The question I was asked is how do we transform our leadership team to be more value-centric as well? So similar dilemma, but definitely needs to be approached differently. So,
Absolutely. And with a small business, I guess you have to, pull on different levers. So it's quite a different context. I mean, we were only dealing with about 40 people in this situation. So on the one hand, it's a bit easier to get your hands around. If you say, let's change the culture, you can actually, get around most of the workplace, but then quite different complications in terms of politics and relationships, particularly in small businesses where the relationships can almost feel familial in a sense. They're so
absolutely, because you've got some family businesses as well, don't you? So it's very familial.
Very familial. And then it's interesting because I faced a situation where there had been no values before, and so there was an assumption that we want to bring in values now to change the culture or to create a culture. But of course, you have to say there's already an existing culture. So
absolutely.
It's interesting how many people think that there isn't an expressed or articulated culture in the absence of statements.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we did some work, you'll remember this, but some other people may not know. We did a bit of work with the Centre for Workplace Leadership this year, and I went in to spend some time with Atlassian, and Atlassian really tried to understand what their secret sauce is. So, and I love that term, it's their word, not ours, but their secret sauce was understanding what makes us so great, what makes us really an enjoyable place to come to work. And I guess if you're a family business or a small business that's been around for 30 years, you're going to know what that secret sauce is, much more than perhaps what some of the bigger organisations do, because they tend to get sort of really wrapped up in the politics in a larger organisation, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. And the case study I ended up working on, which was very similar, but was with Mark Lawyers, and again it was a smaller organisation, a bit like what I dealt with, but because it was from startup, the secret was they just said from day one, we used to work in other places like this, we want to create a place where people are going to work like this. So they articulated how they want to work and behave from day one. It was obvious, and then so it's quite different when you compare it then to an existing business where it's never ever been articulated, but you have to find out what it is because it is absolutely there. So
and I think for certainly this particular client that we worked on, the big complication for them was that they had been to a restructure, and the restructure didn't work well, and so there were a number of positions that were jostling for power. There was trying to re-establish themselves as a newly formed leadership team, and essentially the values had kind of hightailed it out the window. So it was really an exercise of trying to get back together as a group, getting them on board and getting them agreed and aligned back to the strategy, and also letting them become friends again. And that was a huge complication from our standpoint, because there was a huge disconnect amongst the teams. We had to get them to at least like each other, and that's hard sometimes.
True.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about there was something I heard in what you described about the sort of the pace and the way that the change has to sort of evolve. It almost needs to soak back into the culture. Whereas, you know, I heard one sort of suggestion that we need to, you know, print the values and put them on the coffee cups and sort of go, here they are, thou shalt now behave like this. But when you're really working with something like values and human behaviours, that's not going to work. Would you like it if I just said, you're going to behave like this now, Simon? Of course not.
No, I mean, it's nice to have them on the coffee mugs. It's nice to have them in the meeting rooms. It is nice to do. I think there's still a place for them, but it's not the only place. And I think, and that's a huge part of it, is because I think that there are many organisations that do that, and they go, right, well, we've ticked that box. Because every time people go into the kitchen, they can see the values of integrity and leadership and commitment and all of those quite interesting values, but people don't resonate with them on a number of levels, and I think there's a real challenge around that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, of course, we're not saying don't put them up, but I think it's the way you sort of promulgate them. So if you start by letting them soak in, by talking about them, it's the easiest and simplest way, but it's the step that so often is overlooked. You know, there's an email to say here's what they are, whereas actually people want to talk about them. They want to just, you know, unpack them and say, what does this mean to me? You know, we've now got a value around integrity. Why do we have it? Is that because it wasn't there before, or because we want more of it? So it's the conversations, and I think all too often the communication's overlooked. So it's that age-old question, where do you begin? You know, and I think one of the first steps is you begin by talking to people and listening.
So I guess, I mean, our approach really is about, well, how do we design a solution that is different and that isn't something that's off the shelf, and that's really, really important from transformation, but also any work you're doing around behaviour and values. And so we've got to be able to look at what's the right approach for the organisation. We've got a methodology that we love to use, which is very much centred around design thinking. But I think we've got 5 kind of key things that we think are hot to go, critical.
5 secret answers. Our secret sauce. That's right. And we've talked to the articulation of the values and letting them soak. We've talked to the listening to your people. Design.
Well, design's really important, and I think it's that co-design piece, because you don't want a bunch of leaders or a group of people sitting in a dark room and emerging and saying, well, guess what, this is how we're going to behave, and this is how we're going to treat each other when we do this, that and the other. You really, really don't want that, because you'll end up with a revolt from people going, well, I'm not going to do that, and I don't want to do that, and you didn't really ask me how to do it in the first place, so you know what, I'm just not going to do it. So the co-design and the design together really starts to look at, well, what are the artefacts that we have that we live by and that we don't want to remove. So being able to consult with people around that process is really, really, really important. And that kind of goes to my 4th point, which is structure versus culture. I think we're just hardwired individuals to say that change must be structural. And we see it all the time when we're doing projects where we say, well, what needs to happen? And people just give us a whole list of structural things that have to change. And you know what? Yep, you're absolutely right. But we need to back end it with culture and behaviour as well. So any kind of structural change that we're doing, we always make it a really strong key part of what we do to say, well, that's great, but what are the actual behaviours and values and kind of unspoken, undiscussables that need to back end any kind of structural change as well, and that's really, really important to do.
Agreed. And then once you've worked your way through those first 4 steps, once you've articulated the values, once you've held workshops, listened to your people, done the design piece, thought about the culture as well as the structure, there does then come a point where you just, you know, the 5th one is just do it. You know, you have to actually just embed this in your operating rhythm. And too often the program ends where you've articulated at step 4, where we've described the culture, we've described the values, we've given some nice pointers about some structural changes, and that's it. And they go, well, that's the culture change program. But actually, that's when you then have to like really lift up the hood of the organisation and say, what are all the things we do, all the little processes, habits, steps we've got, and how do we embed these new values into every single step? So, you know, you might have a new value around integrity or teamwork, like we just said. Well, what does teamwork mean when you're doing one of your regular processes?
Absolutely.
Reconsider them and redesign them, and just get in there and make it happen.
I think Just Do It is really, really good because I think we spend so long trying to perfect everything and get it absolutely right. But you know what? It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to build things into the business where we can learn from what we do, get feedback fast, tweak it, iterate it, and just keep going. It's the thing with behaviour and culture and transformation in general is it takes a while to do, and you've got to be able to be comfortable to learn through that.
And you look at the pace of change in everything these days. If we use the age-old sort of system of sitting back, doing the reports and the research and coming up with 100% perfect program, by the time you go to do it, the world's already moved before you, so HR really needs to speed up and be prepared to jump in a little bit quicker and just do it with the sort of 80-20 rule, really. And it's more about that growth mindset then.
So what advice do you have for small business around transformation and values-led change?
I think the starting point is you're never too small to get conscious about your culture. I sometimes hear that, oh, you know, we're a small business, that's all for the big businesses. It's okay for, you know, the Atlassians and the big companies like we're in the case studies, but every single company gets conscious about their culture and lives it and breathes it. I mean, we're really crystal clear on our hard culture and our values. We're not too small, even though we're very big. But yeah, I think don't assume that you don't have a culture, and if you're not conscious about it, you'll have one anyway, and it might not be what you want. And given the link between culture and your engagement and your productivity and your performance, you need to be aware of it and make sure it's living and breathing the way you want it to. What about you?
I absolutely agree. I think it's really critical. I think you've got to be able to address it, look for the skeletons in the cupboard. They're always going to be there, and I think you need to talk about the undiscussables, and they're the things that people typically shy away from because it's awkward and it's uncomfortable. But it's if we don't talk about those things, nothing changes, and we revert back to the dominant logic of the organisation. And so, if we're really serious about kind of transformation and change, we need to do the dirty looking, and we need to look at the things that we don't necessarily want to look at. So we need to be a little bit more comfortable, and we need to be happy to, or comfortable to be a little bit vulnerable in those situations and circumstances and learn from it.
Absolutely. And actually, as you said that, it made me think of another situation I had recently where there was a company, again, hugely successful, but they'd never really articulated their culture, and they were at risk of having it worn away and eroded because they weren't intentionally curating it. And you go, you can have a situation where you have a wonderful culture, but because you're not intentional about it, external forces, be they economic, political, or new people, could then make that deteriorate. And suddenly you have lost what is actually the fundamental sort of platform of your organisation. So ignore it at your peril, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, it goes the same as brand. Don't they say that it takes a lifetime to build a good brand and it takes a second to destroy it? I mean, culture is a little bit similar to that.
Absolutely.
You spend so much time working on it that it only takes a couple of people with a bit of a toxic mindset and share that with other people that it starts to really break it down. And it's the same with transformation.
Exactly.
If people don't agree with where your vision, where you're going, it won't work.
True. But let's end on a high note.
Let's end on a high note.
The positive is that if you're intentional, you can make it absolutely supercharge your business and be a part of your competitive advantage. And it's there for everyone.
Absolutely. I guess we'd like to hear from other people too, don't we?
Absolutely. Let us know what you're doing.
Yeah, what works and what doesn't work. But also, equally, I think, particularly around transformation, is what kind of frustrates you. Because we want to learn, we want to know what people hate doing so we don't do it.
And also, I'd love to hear about any creative ways in which you have brought the culture to life, because symbols, don't get us wrong, coffee cups, pens, all of that's great, but what creative new symbols and storytelling methods have you come up with to bring the culture to life? You know, I'd love to hear big murals and artworks and fabulous graffiti-led, cultural statements. So tell us what you're doing.
Yeah.